Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Brave Cat here with another Frontier Signals update, and it's still February 3rd, and I thought I'd make a nice little late night update, especially with everything going on. So again, I am out here trying to be another piece of glue to put together frontier science. Things that you won't hear about in mainstream media, but things that are becoming rapidly more relevant in today's age. So anyways, let's get started here. I've been kind of viewing the X-ray flux here on the NOAA, because they have honestly probably the best X-ray flux data here. You know, it refreshes every single minute, so you really don't miss a thing. And look at this. So we're looking at the last 7 days, and of course the last 3 days is when we've had the ongoing solar activity. And look at this. So it has finally dipped down, back down into sea level, down far enough where, well, the last time it was this low was like literally, I don't even know, I think all the way here. So the last time the X-ray flux was as low as it is right now was literally more than 3 days ago. So that kind of puts into perspective just how much solar activity we've had. And it's not even over yet. So there's some interesting volcano and earthquake related things I want to go over. But first of all, I guess we should just take a look at what's going on here. So again, we look at the sunspots. It is now basically facing directly at us. We're looking down the end of a double-barrel shotgun right here. That's basically what this is. So it's kind of interesting. This whole region has it's gotten wider, like it's kind of grown in length here, and the magnetic complexity is still there. Absolutely, especially basically these 3 blue splotches you see here in the middle. Those are what are kind of making the magnetic instability to the actual solar flare generators, basically. Because it's like, imagine each one of these is a magnet, and they're all different polarities, and you try to push those magnets together, and they're obviously going to either attract or they're going to repel each other. So that's basically what that is. Now, there's something interesting as well with this other sunspot group, because it seems like it's really the only other one. Well, okay, we got some stuff down here as well, but this is the other kind of main one that at least has some sort of development or activity. Because if we take a look here, I haven't actually looked at this. Let's just see again what it's been doing for the last few days. So I think at the very start of this, I think looks like right when that X flare happened. I have to just watch this. So that's what it's doing. And you can see this region over here having a little bit of unrest as well, which is interesting. And it's because it's actually coupling magnetically with this one. But yeah, the very start of this video looks like it's basically right after the X flare, the X8 flare. So you do see some plasma shooting out. Now see, that's the huge lucky component of, the 30, 40 plus flares that have happened in the past 3 days, is because there has hardly been any coronal mass ejections, which is a good sign. I mean, seriously, if all these, or even most of the big ones, have had major filament eruptions happening, and especially if those were mostly aimed at us, well, I'm not sure if we'd be watching YouTube videos right now, to be honest. So anyways, with that said, looks like we actually have a new coronal hole coming in here. So that'll be something to watch out for in combination with that. Now, looking down here, wow, look at that. Hold on, look at that. It's like you got the first frame of that. That had to have been the X8. Man, that is just, whew, look at that. It's making the whole camera feed basically go fuzzy. Yeah, that was not a small flare, that's for sure. Oh man, it's like perfect. You get to perfectly see the X flare on every single one of these. That's actually, wow. The timing on that. The bloody timing. Get to see it on here as well. So again, it did have a coronal mass ejection on that X8. I mean, you can see it. Now, it wasn't very big. It wasn't a full halo CME. And, you know, it seems like it should pretty much avoid us. But I mean, just look at that. It's both majestic and terrifying. And the way it kind of like spirals out. Pretty wild. So again, with these magnetic field lines, at least earlier when I was looking at it, yeah, we've got some interesting... here's that other sunspot group, and you can just barely see these like really straggly looking field lines here. I can kind of zoom in. Like little horsehairs just kind of loosely connecting to that other sunspot group. And on here, this is what looks really cool. So you can actually see just how, I guess, electrified it really looks. And you can even see some activity there. So yeah, this thing is still, I mean, it is like a raging thunderstorm. You know, the size of, I don't even know what you would compare that to. I mean, it's like, if you lined up every single planet in the solar system, I think it still wouldn't even stretch across that whole gap. Maybe, actually. You know, I think maybe if you stacked every single planet together, it might stretch across that gap. That's kind of the scale that we're looking at here, so that's why it's completely laughable to think that solar flares aren't dangerous. Now, I'm not saying it's going to, you know, a huge plasma filament just rips right at us. You know, it's not going to destroy the Earth by any means, but at the very least, anything technological happening, as well as the amount of radiation, and even the volcanism and earthquake triggers that would happen, I mean, it would rock the frickin' world, that's for sure. But that's the thing, is that that's not even what it would take, you know. So anyways, though, that's kind of what's going on there. Ramble over on that. But now we get into kind of how the earthquakes and volcanoes have been reacting, because that has definitely been pretty correlated here. So we've got some interesting earthquake activity. There's a 293 kilometer deep earthquake right here at Italy. Now remember, there's a lot of volcanoes around here, including Campi Flegrei up here. And so, you know, this is not a spot where you would normally see deep activity. So this, you know, this could potentially be volcanic related. Now, I don't think it's really any cause for concern unless we see things happen kind of in rapid succession. But anyways, that was kind of an interesting thing there. And then, okay, we look down here. There's an earthquake in Antarctica. You certainly don't see that every day. Not very often. We have a 5 right on the Dutch Sense logo, south of Australia, and the 5.0 activity just rippling out, brand new activity. This is just looking at the last 2 days. Pretty much everything in red is from yesterday, everything in white is from today, and anything in pink is right in between. So we've had a lot of new activity here, especially up in the top right, because it's kind of easier to see the depth here. So we have these 3 earthquakes of different depths, all right in kind of the same area. Just thought that was kind of interesting. And then, yep, new 5s going all the way. I think that was here earlier today. And then California, it's still, doing its thing. Whatever it's doing, having its strike slip event, slow slip, subduction zone, all along from pretty much from the bay. Actually, not even. I mean, see, the thing that sucks is Canada. Yeah, you want to know what sucks? Nah, I'm just saying the agencies and government, for that matter, in Canada. Well, really anywhere, but so if we go here, sometimes this can actually give a little bit of a better look here. So let's just go with the last 2 days of pretty much all activity, including tremors. And then, I pulled up the tremor map this morning, and well, I guess we can take a look at it again. Yep, so this is just updated for today, because I don't think it's going to show anything for this. Nope. And this is not even like real time. This pretty much, I feel like this always updates like at the end of the day, more or less. So, yep, again, we got a pretty sizable slow slip event, because that's more specifically what this map is for. It's not just recording tremors in these areas, it's actually, basically recording the slow slip events of the subduction zone itself. So this is quite literally the movement of the plate underneath kind of moving. So, we compare that to what we see here, and this gives a better idea. We have movement going all along California here, and especially from the Bay Area in San Francisco down to Los Angeles, and even down to the edge here, border with Mexico, all that. This whole area is just moving, and the whole thing with seeing movement, whatever it is, okay, you have to compare that to like compensation movement, and compare that with the incoming pressure, and basically see like, okay, if all activity can just completely stops and there's nothing here for 1, 2, 3 days, I don't know, what kind of pressure is building up. That's basically the game that's being played here. That's the game that's been played on the West Coast, ever since people have been talking about a megaquake over here. That's basically how this works. It's like, it's like one of those arcade slot quarter machine games where you put the quarter in, and there's like a coin pusher. Those coin pushers at the arcade. You just keep stacking coins on there until something eventually falls off. That's pretty much, I think that's a pretty accurate way to put it. Every single movement coming from the other side of the Pacific, and oftentimes from these deep earthquakes or from even volcanic activity, basically is adding those coins, and the coin pusher, aka the compensation movement, seen in these quakes here, if we don't see that happening, then those coins are just going to keep piling up. And then when there's finally one huge push, it's all just, I mean, it all falls off and basically, you know, causes one giant event. So, yeah, it's one way to put it, I guess. So anyways, the frustrations with Canada, it's really annoying not having all the data nice and, you know, neatly organized. You know, why would that be a thing, right? You know, these are different countries, different agencies, but still, we're talking about a phenomenon that should not have any borders tied to it. Like, you know, we should just, like, screw globalism, okay? Screw any form of globalism unless it pertains to purely scientific functions. I think we can all agree there. And for the most part, we sort of have that, but at the same time, we don't. And, you know, things get really muddied, the lines get really blurred. So unfortunately, we just can't have nice things. But this is pretty much the best we can do. So, you know, we have had movement here, and we have had all this stuff going on the kind of Pacific Northwest going into Japan, which again has some new fives. So that's basically that. Now here's the thing. Comparing this with volcanic activity, we take a look at the last couple days of stuff that has gone down here. So this is going into tomorrow, but you know how time works. So this is from the 3rd, yesterday / sort of the day before, you know, the 2nd and the 3rd, basically. And the main things coming out of here is going to be basically Central Mexico, Central America, and South America, with, you know, some pretty significant, or I don't know, probably pretty common blasts, I guess. So yeah, I don't know a whole lot about volcanoes yet, but, you know, I guess, you know, a 21,000 foot high blast, I guess that just happens every day, multiple times a day from multiple different volcanoes. But, you know, all the ones that are here, I mean, these are literally all basically stretching from, like, here, you know, around here, Mexico, going down into South America. And of course there's ones that are active over here too, but in terms of all of the, like, major eruptions coming out of yesterday's update, pretty much all pertaining to over here. And what I find interesting is over here is where we have all the earthquakes going on, and the volcanic activity isn't quite as ash plumy or whatever. It's not quite as eruptive. But then we have all the volcanoes going off over here, and then the earthquakes have gone quiet. So, I mean, that's kind of how the relationship between those two things work, you know? You can have the volcanoes kind of more or less absorb some of that seismic energy and release in a blast instead, or vice versa. You can have a volcanic blast, basically add pressure to the system and then cause an earthquake, or, you know, cause a bigger earthquake somewhere else. So it all kind of ties together in the end. So that's basically kind of what I've been seeing there. I've been here on Google Earth, just punching in a whole bunch of locations for archaeological sites and volcanoes, just to kind of slowly extend my own little lines of research and things I'm interested in. You know, because you never know when there's some sort of niche correlation between one of these locations somewhere. We got all sorts of things here. We got Gedung Padang. We got a Buddhist temple down here. Let's see, let's zoom in on this. This one's pretty cool looking here. We can zoom out. let's see, what else did I add? Just various volcanoes. Trying to keep things kind of color coordinated and whatnot. I think this is another Buddhist temple over there. But then most of the stuff, most of the interesting things, you know, are going to be around here. So, of course, go back to Tepe, that's been on there. And there's various other sites that are very close by. Yeah, you know, you got all sorts of things, so... and then, of course, just a lot of things around here in Italy, because, I mean, this area is pretty... it just seems important to me. Like, I don't know a whole lot about it. I don't have a lot of, like, intrinsic interest, I guess. It just... There's something about, you know, the volcanoes, the history, and all that just seems like it's gonna be important, you know, to keep track of. So I mean, that's what I'm doing. I'm just following my intuition, following my heart, doing whatever I feel like I should be doing, and seeing where it goes, you know? So anyways, with that, hopefully this website, I know I keep saying this, will be up soon. I've been doing more research on how to get this thing actually hosted, and of course it just totally crapped out on me. It really shouldn't be that hard, considering this pretty much only has like static elements on it. Like, and I don't mean that, like, it is interactive. It has some things you can interact with. But what I mean by static is this website is not going to have to rely on any sort of back-end servers or complicated APIs. There's not going to be any login or anything like that. It's just a simple display page for basically educational purposes of various things. And even these space weather feeds here, again, they're pretty much just static things, even though they do update. They're just based off of a live URL that is hosted elsewhere. So as long as those URLs work and are functional, then, you know, this stuff works. So basically, you know, it should be pretty simple to get this hosted securely and reliably and cheaply. So, you know, after doing some research on that today, I am not at all intimidated by that. So it is only a matter of time. Basically, I just want to double check all the sources and attributions and citations, and yeah, you know, basically make sure everything that I have on here is properly cited, is, you know, has its own attributions to what it's from. Now see, like on these, I mean, it literally says it right here, the NOAA Space Weather Prediction Center. So I don't know if I have to do anything extra to be like, hey, you know, this is where this comes from, because, well, I mean, it's right there. So, I don't know. Anyways, though, just trying to cover all the bases with that. But once this is an actual website, I think things are going to kick off a lot faster. I know that pretty much I feel like in a way I'm kind of just floating, just kind of dead in the water. You know, don't really have... I mean, I have direction. I definitely have direction. But traction, no, I don't have any traction in that regard. You know, basically right now I'm just spinning my wheels as fast as I can, spinning my wheels as hard as I can, and hoping something grips, hoping something takes off. And I'll keep working hard, I'll keep doing what I gotta do. So, anyways though, that'll be it for tonight's update. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next.